Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone, and it's caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown! INDY! 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Renew now, drives in low, throws up a shot. It doesn't go. Tipped up and in by Anthony Leal. Indiana takes the lead.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Now, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Appreciate you being with us here on this Wednesday. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you. Brought to you by the good folks at Andy Moore Honda, powered by Andy Moore Honda, where you can get the best in new and used vehicles. Just go to andymorehonda.com and get more to your door. And don't forget the Autograph app. Make sure you reach out and grab this app. It's pretty cool. And you can download it. If you can't find it, link.ag.fan/ISB media. That ISB media is the most important part. So if you do that. But it's where Unreal fans get Unreal Rewards, the first app to track and reward fans for loving what they love most, turning passion into access and experiences. It has all of the things that you like in one spot. It's actually pretty cool. I wish I would have thought of it. I'm kind of PO'd that I didn't. Tom Brady's involved, which cracks me up because I finished watching the Tom Brady roast last night. Man, that was a roast. And then I read yesterday that he regrets doing it, mainly for how it affected his kids. And I'm like, why would you have your kids there? Knowing what those roasts are. And it was pretty funny.
Well, did he have his kids in the live audience, or is he talking about just the aftermath
I don't know.
of the kids? Because I know that his wife was pretty upset, or ex-wife, I should say, was upset about some of the things that were said. I know that Aaron Hernandez's, I guess, former girlfriend when he was alive was pretty upset about some of the things that were said.
Well, I mean, did you watch it?
I've heard some of the jokes. I haven't seen the entire roast.
Yeah, it was a roast, man, and it was no holds barred. And
I'm not saying they did anything wrong, because I agree with you. I think it was, from what I've heard, it sounded pretty funny. And in my opinion, comedy doesn't really have any boundaries.
But there was definitely, if I'm the Hernandez family or whatever, yeah, I probably wouldn't have liked it. But what are you going to do? He was a murderer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He was a murderer. So what are you supposed to do? Treat him with kid gloves? No. Gee whiz. That you don't get a pass. I'm sorry. Murderers don't get a pass. I don't think. Let's see. What else? You mentioned who else was upset? You said the ex-wife.
Giselle, his ex-wife, yeah.
Oh my God. They literally roasted him over the apparently she's with a jiu-jitsu instructor that she started taking classes from or something. I don't follow it, so I don't care. I don't know, but it was just hilarious. I mean, yeah, I thought it was funny, but Nikki Glazer was hilarious. She's great as always. Jeff Ross. Oh yeah. Jeff Ross got in a little bit of trouble. Tom Brady got up out of his chair and walked over and said, "Don't you say that shoot again." They were all told not to. I don't know if they were told anything else, but they were told to not make any jokes about Robert Kraft and his massage episode. And one of one of daggone it, I just put it up there. One of Jeff Ross's jokes was, when they drafted you finally out of the 6th round, you walk up to the into Robert Kraft's office and say, you made the best decision you've ever made for this organization. Is there anything I can do for you? Do you need a massage? That was the joke. You know, because the massage you got, do you remember Robert Kraft getting in trouble?
I don't know why, but that could be something that sounds like something I'm not familiar with for whatever reason.
Well, it's probably so. Robert Kraft got in a lot of trouble, a lot of grief over a quote unquote prostitute, but he was just getting massage type of thing. That's been a couple years ago. So you'd have to stay up on that. Chris Lewis on from Watton, England. Hello. Jolly good morning to you. Having a spot of tea. And then Gary's down in New Albany. That's a world apart right there. Watton, England and New Albany, Indiana. Appreciate both of you guys. Fred, Dwayne, Bob from Georgetown, Donald down in Atlanta, Mike Shenanigans, Southern Wabash, or rainy Southern Wabash County. Yeah, it's supposed to be like that. It was like all day yesterday, which was great. Had a little thunder last night, which was awesome. Enjoyed the heck out of that. Who doesn't like a good thunderstorm at night? Robert from Evans Patch. See, that's about the fever. Yeah, the Pacers. Oh man, we'll talk about them. Out rebounded 53-29. 20 offensive rebounds. Whoo. Yeah, it was ugly. 121-91. Got blistered. Got blown out. I mean, they come back home, but the thing is, even if they come back and win and tie it up, force a game 7, you got to go back to New York where you're 1-6 on the in playoffs on the road. 1-6. Nothing's impossible, but New York is probably getting healthier. I don't know if OG Anunoby will be back, former Hoosier, for the Knicks. They may save him for the next round of the playoffs. Larry, we appreciate you. Hope you're having a great day in Goshen. He watches and listens every day. We love you. Appreciate you. Robert says he sees the Pacers winning a close game Friday night, but just don't see the team winning an MSG. I agree. Yeah, game 1 was their chance. They got kind of screwed. I mean, there'll always be that talk, but you can't put the game in the hands of the officials. By that, I mean, there are other things that every team does that has an opportunity to win and that you don't. Even when you get screwed, there are other opportunities that you've missed. And that's the case with the Pacers in that game. There were other opportunities for them to have overachieved and won that game, even with the bad officiating. But you got to do what you got to. I mean, it's how it is. Indiana basketball talk. Bellarmine transfer Langdon Hatton visits Indiana. Kid from down in North Harrison, man. 2 weeks ago, it was reported that Indiana had made contact with Bellarmine Transfer Center and Indiana native Langdon Hatton. Tuesday night, the native of Georgetown. Hey, man. That's my old stomping grounds. Made his way to Bloomington for an official fall visit with Indiana. He's a 6'10 junior. The Hoosiers have 2 open scholarship left still and need a big, basically, to back up the big man, Obalo, Mr. Balo. Minnesota, Louisville, Clemson, Ohio State are schools also vying for the services of Hatton. I think it would come down to playing time, but I've got to be honest with you. I think that a kid from North Harrison High School, which has grown immensely since I was in school and started to achieve things, but they have never had someone play at a place like New Albany. At IU. I'm thinking that would be a just major draw for him, and coming from Bellarmine, I don't know that his expectations of playing time will be extraordinarily high, but he's going to get playing time. Anybody that takes this position is going to get playing time. Ballo's not going to run the whole game. He's going to need rest. He's going to need rest. And there are going to be plenty of games, I'm sure, where fouls may pop up. So it'll be interesting. He spent his freshman year at William and Mary, the last 2 seasons in Louisville at Bellarmine, which, of course, was formerly a Division II school. He made 37 starts across 2 campaigns for the Knights, so that's about half each year. He averaged 10.5 points, 7 rebounds a game, both of which were career highs. He also hit 48% of his field goals and 33% on 3-point shots. So he's got a game. He's not a one-trick pony. 1 year of eligibility left. But he seems to be one that would fit right into what Indiana is looking for. And it would give him another Indiana kid to make some people happy. So there's that. But we'll keep up with that. You can go to thehoosier.com, of course, to keep up, which is where that information is right now. And we've got the NBA Combine going on up in Chicago. Of course, Khalil Ware, the only Indiana player in that. I think I saw something yesterday that he graded up really well on the measurements and everything else. We'll see. We'll see how he moves up or down in the mock draft. Yes, sir, John. Oh, is it time for a break already? My gosh.
It is indeed.
My time is already flying. On the program today, Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette, Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star, and Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Back to our great regular lineup. Plenty to get to. Appreciate you being with us. Don't forget there are a bunch of outings coming up. The first of which is the IU Alumni Association of Greater Evansville's annual golf scramble, which will be at Sultan's Run in Jasper. This is on Monday. And that's a beautiful course. I mean, it's an absolutely stunningly beautiful course. If you live in the area, sign up. Let them know that you heard it here. But you can just go to KW. No, let me start that over. KYW King at indiana.edu or 812-677-1119. That's for the Greater Evansville's annual golf scramble outing, which I am planning on participating in. Then also you have the Hoosiers at Huber's returning for its annual gathering happening on Wednesday, May 29th. You can join Hoosiers Connect for an evening at Huber's Orchard Winery and Vineyards. This special event is for the Southern Indiana, Louisville Hoosier communities, but there's a lot of people that come from far away because it holds about 900. You'll see football coach Kurt Signetti, Mike Woodson, basketball side, players from the Indiana men's, women's basketball programs and the football programs. Includes an autograph session afterwards. Proceeds from this year's event will benefit Indiana's NIL program. It's only $50 to attend per individual, same as it's always been. You can go to inforindiana.com and get that information. We've got lots more coming up here on The Beat. Dylan Sinn is up next. Back right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market.
Morning, Dylan.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good. I'll be right back, guys. I'll just step out for a second.
Hello, sir.
Right.
How are you doing?
How are you, Jim?
I'm just peachy. I couldn't be any better. If I was any better, I'd be you.
Oh, yeah. Feeling good, looking good, right?
Feeling good, looking good. Got my Ole Miss shirt off for my daughter.
All right. She graduating this week?
No, yesterday was her 21st birthday.
Oh, wow. That's great for her.
Yeah.
Is she down in Oxford right now?
No, she is in Italy.
Wow. All right. Look at that.
Yeah, pretty cool. School stuff. I never had school trips like that. My school trips were down to the local pond or something, I think.
Just across town to the zoo for a day. We went to the zoo when I was in school.
Yeah, exactly. I went to a pickle factory once.
Ooh. Did you learn how to make a pickle?
Paramount Pickles.
Did you learn how to turn a cucumber into a pickle?
Sure I did, but I think I forgot.
It's going to be on the quiz, Jim.
But I love pickles. Don't get me wrong. They're delicious. They are delicious. Boy, my computer's gotten so slow. It drives me insane.
I'm fighting a little bit of a cough here, so I apologize in advance, gentlemen.
It's all right. Have you stayed up on the draft?
A little bit. I've been following the combine results for the most part.
That's what I meant. Yeah. The combine.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't really know a ton of guys outside of Khalil Ware and Zach Edey.
Well, and actually, that's what I'll be talking about anyway.
All right, here we go, guys.
Oh, fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by the Chop Shop, home of the Indiana football and men's basketball coaches shows. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday. Joined now by Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. Brought to you by Chop Shop Market and Table. Chop Shop Market and Table, home of the Indiana basketball and football coaches shows, is located just north of Bloomington High School South on South Walnut. Your local meat shop, steakhouse, and caterer, no matter where you live. Chop Shop Market and Table offers a great sit-down dining experience for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, where you can even pick out your own steak from the on-site butcher or choose from their incredible daily dinner specials. Their butcher shop offers quality meats from locally sourced Wagyu steaks from the Voiles family farm just down the road. Seafood and more. Don't miss out on the Chop Shop's daily in-house made bakery items, cakes, pies, and pastries, all incredibly delicious and mouth-watering. Speaking of incredibly delicious and mouth-watering, Dylan Sinn joins us now from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm much better after that introduction now, Jim. That was about as good as I've ever gotten on the show.
Yeah. Well, sounds like we got a monster in the house, but lots going on right now in the world of college basketball. The NBA Combine, of course, going on up in Chicago, kind of quietly going on because the playoffs are happening and not a lot of attention there, but Zach Edey from Purdue and Kel'el Ware from Indiana, of course, the two big, I was going to say big items, but yeah, big items.
I mean that's exactly
Zach
what they
Edey's,
are. They're very big, I'll tell you that.
Zach Edey's measurements, I remember reading without shoes, he's 7'3" 3/4, I think.
That's right. Yep.
So he's a legit 7'4", what, 299 pounds?
And his standing reach, so his how high his arm can go without leaving the floor, 9 feet and like 11 3/4 inches. Like he can almost touch the rim without standing, without jumping.
Yes. Which I haven't seen him jump. I can honestly tell you I haven't seen him jump much other than those 3 inches that he needed to get over the rim. But yeah, he's it's going to be interesting. Then of course you got Kel'el Ware, who went through the same deal. He is a tick under 7 foot, but he's a 7-footer because that's without shoes. He is 3/4 of an inch. Is that right? A quarter of an inch?
I think 6'11 3/4. Yeah.
Yeah, he was 1/4 of an inch shy of 7 foot without shoes. But so to me, okay, that's a 7-footer because guess what? When you play basketball, you wear shoes. So he's a 7-footer. He was like 230 something, right?
Yeah, he's not super heavy, and even for a 7-footer, like he's pretty skinny. So
that's what I see like a lot of the guys that come into the league. Wembayama, daggone, who was the dude that came in from Gonzaga?
Chet Holmgren from the
yes,
Thunder.
My God, he was so skinny when I saw him out in Portland. I'm like, good Lord, these guys need some weight because if you look at the NBA, you don't see many skinny players. These guys put on beef. They put on the mass, put on the muscle, especially if you're spending any time in the middle, you're going to have it because those guys are going to beat the hell out of you. Draymond Green, he ain't going to be playing puff, patty puff, so that's the one thing that I think Kel'el Ware needs to do is put on some weight, but it's also not the old school NBA where they're going to be camped out in the middle. So that's also going to be a detriment. Zach Edey carries a large amount of mass with him, which I think that's going to be detrimental to him because he is going to he can't camp out in the center on defense. And so he's going to have to be chasing somebody who, if he ends up on somebody who's moving, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. I can't see him being able to keep up.
I will say, I think one of the under-discussed kind of ways that Zach Edey really, really improved while he was at Purdue was that when he was a freshman, he could only play 15, 20 minutes a game maximum. He'd get gassed. And I think as his career went on, he did a fantastic job of really getting himself into shape. By his senior, even by his junior year, but especially by his senior year, he was in really, really good shape. For not only for a big man, but for anyone out there. He was running up and down the court. He played almost 40 minutes in most of those NCAA tournament games this year. He didn't want to come out. He didn't need to come out very often. And I was really impressed by his ability to get up and down the court and never look tired. I think that's going to be a significant factor in these NBA teams' evaluation of him, is that he doesn't, like, you're right, he's carrying a lot of weight, and that's because he's the opposite of Khalil Ware, where it's not like he's going to need to add lower body strength. He already has the lower body strength. So it's one of those things where he's going to have to just prove that he can get up and down the court. I think he did that in college, and I think you're right. He's going to have to chase guys around, but he did a little bit of that in college too. It wasn't like I don't think it's fair to say he camped out in the lane all the time. He especially his senior year, he was chasing guys around the perimeter with relative frequency. I think there are times where he was switched onto a guard and actually did a pretty good job playing defense on the perimeter. So I'm interested to see what NBA teams think of that, but I think it's one of his actual strengths as a prospect is how much he was able to get up and down the court.
We've got some of the trial games that will be coming up, and Chris says that Ware is not expected to play in some of those, as many of the top draft choices don't participate, which I find to be a joke. If you're going to come to this, you're going to participate. It's not, you're not going to say, yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, but I'm not going to do that one. And I'm not going to do that one. Nope. It should be, if you're coming, you're participating. There's a reason we have these things, these different drills, and it's to measure and to show and to give these GMs more information, as much information as possible, because these are multi-million-dollar decisions. Sure. And if you're not part of that, then get the hell out. If you're not interested in vying for one of these spots, it drives me insane. But sometimes I understand it. There are certain reasons, but like in NFL things, football's different. But dude, it's basketball. Why are you not participating? That's why I want.
In fairness to the combine, in fairness to these players, especially the bigger guys, Ware especially, Edey to a certain extent, although I think he has more to gain by playing in these scrimmages. I like, you can get hurt pretty easily. Like, there's no scrimmage element to the NFL combine, right? Like, it's pretty easy. As a big man, you're always fighting injury, right? And I do think that that's one of those things where you have to kind of weigh how much is this going to help my draft stock versus the possibility of getting hurt and hurting my draft stock, right? So I think that's one of those things where Khalil Ware has shown up to the combine, and he has proven that he is one of the most, if not the most athletic big men in the draft. And he's proven that he can shoot the three, which he did yesterday or the day before. And I don't know how much more he has to prove beyond that, because the rest of it you can see on the college tape, right? Like,
yeah,
college, like the NBA is different from college, but NBA executives, and they can see how a player is going to translate, at least to a certain extent, based on watching them in college. And then it's just a question of how big are you actually? How high can you jump actually? How fast can you run? How mobile are you actually? And Khalil Ware has done those things. So I do think that the scrimmage element is always a risk and reward situation, especially for big guys who are always fighting injury.
Yeah, I saw this yesterday. Where did that comment go? There you go. Russell said that according to whoever that is, Ware finished with the highest testing scores of any center in combine history in his database, which I did see that. He ended up with like a perfect 10 or something.
Yeah.
How the hell is that possible?
I mean, I don't know exactly what kind of system that guy is using, but like, I guess it's a kind of a combination of all of the elements. And Where was
so is this something that somebody just came up with?
Yeah, that's as far as I can tell. Yes, I don't think this is like an official thing the NBA uses. But it seems like something where if you kind of combine all of the elements together,
here we go.
It's like a data science thing, basically.
I found it. The things that were measured. All right, you've got hand length, hand width, height without shoes, lane agility, the max vertical, the shuttle run, the standing reach, the standing vertical, the 3/4 sprint, weight, and wingspan. So he took all of that stuff into consideration. Then you've got the percentile over on the right side. And let's see, what do they do? You have a physical score, a vertical score, an agility total score average, and a total raw score. And none of these numbers are over 100, but yet it came out to be 100.
Yeah, it's basically I think it's like percentile wise, and then he's high enough percentile and all, like basically he's so good across the board. I think is the idea. That's basically what it's just trying to say, is that he is good across the board. That's the point that it's trying to get across in basically every element except for the weight there, because he, as you said, he does need to put on some weight. But in every kind of vertical agility, just physical size element, he is near the top of the scale. And it's pretty impressive. He is and we knew that from Indiana, right? He is a very, very good athlete,
Yeah.
and a very, very good basketball player in most phases of the game. As you said, the question is going to be how much weight can he put on and keep on, right? Because that's like Chet Holmgren when he came into the league. He's sneaky strong in his lower body. I think is part of it. Now he still gets bullied in the NBA a little bit, even a couple of years later. Now part of that obviously he was rehabbing from injury, but like he was in college, he was not bullied off his spot very often. And to be fair, Khalil Ware wasn't either. But the NBA is, these guys are going to push you around, and I think that's going to be the biggest question for Ware in this draft process is how much weight can you put on before your rookie season? And then going forward in your career, how much weight can you carry around without sacrificing that high level athleticism that you have? Can you avoid getting pushed around? Or are you going to be like, can you go in there and bang for rebounds, basically? Because where was it like in college, Ware's rebounding was such that like he got to balls that almost no one else was able to get to just because of his size and his quickness and his length. Like he would just grab rebounds that he should have had no chance at. And I think in the NBA that's a hugely valuable skill, but it's going to be something where it's a little bit more difficult because you're going to have to be doing that while guys are pushing you off the spot to a much greater extent. So I think that's the number one question for him is, can he develop enough strength in his lower body to make sure that is not a huge detriment for him, because his rebounding is good enough to keep him in the league by itself if it's anywhere close to what it was in college. He was such a good rebounder at IU.
Well, and the sheer fact that you have a 3-point shot,
yeah,
they can work on you or work with you. They will work with you. They will make you better. They will make you a better shooter.
Absolutely. Yes.
So if you can do it already, they're like, oh, we're good. We can work. We've got something to work with. Most of these things were physical attributes. I think basically all of them were. There was a sprint. Everything else, standing vertical, standing reach, and lane agility. Everything shuttle run. So they're about half exercises. The other half are just purely physical. The lowest he scored on physical stuff was a 67.7, his hand width. Yeah. But his actually low point was his weight, which was a 20.4 and the percentile. So he's surprisingly, I would have thought that there would be plenty of guys that were in his category that are the bigs that are thin like that. Now, Zach Edey aside, Zach Edey that's a whole different category. He's got his own damn category. Yeah, I would like to see Zach Edey's numbers for this.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm not sure exactly about Zach Edey's numbers for this, but I know that his 3-quarter court run was not bad. It wasn't great. But I think it's good enough that it's not going to affect his style. It's one of those things where for Zach Edey, what you're trying to do with a lot of these physical tests is be just good enough that it doesn't like become a storyline. I think he's done that. There's nothing where it's like, wow, he was surprisingly slow, or his agility drill was surprisingly poor. Like none of that has happened. He's actually done relatively well in most of the drills. The biggest one that we saw with Zach Edey was the the shoot and move 3-point drill where you have basically it's a catch and shoot drill where they have you take I think 25 shots, and he made I think like 16 of them. Was it 14 because it was 56%. Like he made 14 of 25 3-pointers on catch and shoots. Like it was really, really impressive. Khalil Ware did a good job. He made 10 out of 25, and so did Donovan Clingan from UConn. But yeah, Edey made 14 out of 25 threes in the catch and shoot drill. And like obviously that's against air. There's no one defending you. But that's still really impressive for a guy who took a grand total of 1 3-pointer in his entire career in college. It's not really surprising because if you look at his free throw form, he has the touch. Like he has a decent touch on his shot. I just didn't think it would be so soon that he's able to kind of move that out to the 3-point line. I thought that was going to take a little while, but maybe he's been working on that. It seems like he's been working on it in anticipation of that moment. Probably like there was probably so much work that went into proving in that one drill. Yes, I can shoot threes. I just didn't do it in college, and so he did that. And now he just needs to make maybe 1 or 2 in those scrimmages. Like, that's why he has so much to gain in those scrimmages. Like, if he goes out there and makes 1 or 2 threes in those scrimmages, boy, howdy, he could start moving up draft boards pretty quickly. Because that's the only question for him is, can you shoot from the outside? And it seems like he can. So.
Yep, we'll find out. It's going to be interesting to see how that turns out, where Zach is. But we'll take a quick break. We've got Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette with us. More to talk about. Pacers, Hoosiers, Hoosiers, and Purdue. Couldn't get that other P word out. Back with more after this, brought to you by Cheryl Sizemore and Remax Realty. For those in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between getting the home you want or not. Make sure you reach out to her. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. They also have a golf outing coming up. That's in June 20th. We'll talk more about that as we get closer. But back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
If you're looking for a home, delete and defrag. Yeah, I got to do that.
By the way, sorry for stepping on your outro with my coughing there, Jim. My fault.
Brother, I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Man, Halliburton, he has not become the killer yet.
No. I mean, this is his first really deep playoff run. It would have been honestly pretty impressive if he had been a killer immediately. That's Anthony Edwards did that the first time, but that's because he's the one. I think he'll get there. Would be my guess. They just need him to be a little bit more of a scorer,
especially in the times when they really need him.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, that was tough. I didn't watch a ton of the game last night because I was covering the Tin Caps, but boy, from what I saw, that looked rough.
Anybody that likes jerseys, that likes to collect jerseys or things like that, I have a guy that's reaching out to me, and I'll show you these. If you're watching, Pacers jerseys, kind of cool.
All right.
Let's see. I'll have to read them all, the jerseys. It's Turner, Batazzi. He's not there anymore. Did he really wear number 88?
Did he really? I did not know that, but that's very funny.
Duarte, Smith, Matherin, Heald. Of course, he's not there anymore. Brown Jr. and Halliburton. And I think I'm gonna get a Halliburton jersey and replace the The one behind me.
All right, here we go, guys.
Actually, I may leave it up.
There you go. Keep both.
Who is the one behind you, Jim?
Well, it's Oladipo's, but I've got it on the Indiana Pacers side. I think it's Oladipo.
All right, here we go.
For 90 days. That's right. 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by Freethink Apparel. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back. I hope you're having a great start to your Wednesday and your week. We're halfway there, so it's all downhill from now. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette with me. We talked in the first segment about the NBA Combine that's going on, and a couple of familiar names in Khalil Ware from Indiana and big man Zach Mount Edie. I'm going to be interested to see who takes somebody's going to take him because he's just a freak of nature. But he's not like, he has skills. He's a freak of nature with skills. There have been plenty of freaks of nature that have been taken in the NBA draft that weren't that skilled. He's a skilled big man, but he is missing that shot. And it's not that I don't think that he could shoot it. It's just his athletic ability is he's slow. He's not going to get up. And I don't see. I wish I could see his numbers. What's his vertical?
His vertical was 31 inches was his vertical.
That's pretty damn good for a freaking 299-pound dude. Let me tell you, getting 300 pounds, 31 inches off the floor, that's pretty damn good. I gotta say,
he's not.
But he doesn't. But the thing is, he doesn't show that, Dylan. He does not once during this season.
He didn't have to in college. Now, like in the NBA, he's going to have to a lot more often.
Well,
but yeah, if
here's my point.
If you could just put it over the rim, you just put it over the rim.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is in transition alley-oop.
Sure.
That's what I'm talking about. When you've got things that are rolling, that's not going to be Zach Edey. You're not going to see Zach Edey running the floor and then catching one and throwing it down. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Which, the NBA, the games are longer. You're going to be running longer and more. And, but maybe they say, all right, that's not his deal. So we're going to run him offensively in a different way, use him in a different way. I don't know how that's going to be because, like I said, you cannot camp out in the lane. And I'm not saying, I know that all the Indiana fans they always complained that he was just living in the lane. Well, he spent all of his time there, but he was straddling it, taking his foot up. I mean, he wasn't sitting in there for 10 seconds like people think. He was doing what he needed to do to start that count over again. But defensively, he lived in the lane. And you cannot do that in the NBA. Mainly because it's more man to man. It's mostly all man to man.
Yeah. And there are so many guys nowadays that are running around the perimeter, even at like 7 foot, right? Like if he comes in and he guards like a Khalil Ware type, right? Like if they end up playing against each other and they're guarding each other, like it's still a difficult matchup for Zach Edey, even with him having the height advantage, right? And he did well when they played against each other this year, so that's something to monitor too. But you talk about him camping out in the lane. I do think it's interesting because yes, Indiana fans said that, and I get it. And in the national championship game, I'm not sure how much they showed this on TV, but Dan Hurley was calling for that the entire game. He was in the official's ear like basically the entire game saying he's in the lane the whole time. He's in the lane. He's in the lane. You could hear him just like begging for a call, and it's very funny because I just kept thinking in that moment of all of the Indiana people that kept saying that all season. And now here's Dan Hurley saying it, which is very funny to me. But no, I do think that my take on Zach Edey has always been that NBA people are really smart. They know as much about basketball as anyone. Zach Edey is 7'4". His wingspan is 7'10", I believe.
Yep.
He has a 31-inch vertical. He's very strong in the lower body. He has decent touch around the rim, and apparently can shoot the ball a little bit from the outside. NBA people are really, really smart when it comes to basketball.
If he was 14 of 25 from three-point shooting, that shows a good shooting touch.
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty damn good. Now, you probably didn't have anybody in his face either, though.
No, like it's a drill where it's against air, right? But it's still it shows that there is the ability there to shoot it, and then you can build off of that. He's not throwing up bricks out there. You saw the video. It looks pretty. It's smooth. Like it's a smooth stroke, and you saw that when he was shooting free throws. My contention has just always been that the NBA people are smart enough to figure out a way to use him. I'm not saying he's going to be Shaq. I'm not saying he's going to dominate. I'm not saying he's even going to start. But like NBA people are going to find a way to use him because there's going to be a team that drafts him probably between 20 and 30. That's a good team because that's where they're picking. And so it's going to be a team that has a plan for him. And I think that there's a way that you can use him that maximizes what he does well, and he gives you 12, 15 minutes a game, and it just becomes a way for teams to throw a different look at someone. And so I'm really fascinated to see what teams come up with because, again, like the NBA people are really smart. They know more about basketball than almost anyone. They're going to figure out a way to use a guy with those physical characteristics, even if it's not like a 35-minute per night guy.
Let's see. What was I got? Oh, so there must be a chance that TNT is going to lose the NBA. I guess their contract is up.
Yeah.
That would be a shame. I'm telling you, because they have the best TV crew in sports, in my opinion. Ernie Johnson is the best studio host there is right now. He is hilarious. He just has a great relationship. You can tell with everybody on the dais there. You've got Charles Barkley. Do I need to say anything else? You've got Charles Barkley. I mean, he's like a freaking comedian without trying to be a comedian. Yeah. He's just naturally funny. God, I swear, I love when the NCAA tournament rolls around and the TNT has it and they've got Barkley. Oh, I will find Barkley after games just to listen to him. He's hilarious, but more funny in the NBA though, I think, because he cracks on them more so. But let's hope that's not the case.
His relationship with Shaq is really good. Like they obviously, there's obviously some competition there just on the set, but they're really, really funny. And Shaq is more deadpan and Charles is really loud. And I think that really complements each other well. And the thing with Charles is that as he's kind of developed this reputation for being the funny guy, a lot of people would have like gone out of their way to be funny and like try to say funny things more often just because that's your reputation now. And I don't get the impression that he's actually done that. He's still just saying what he thinks, which is a really, really hard needle to thread where you're expected to be funny, but you can't try to be funny. And I think he's done that, which is a pretty rare thing.
My first question is, I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just saying my first question would be, who's going to be the ignorant one, NBC, Amazon Prime, or ESPN that does not just grab those guys?
Well, what I read, and I don't know if this is true, this is just the reporting that I read, was that Ernie is not going to leave TNT. Ernie doesn't want to leave TNT. So that's like...
Well, he wouldn't have to leave necessarily. He could take another job. But what's he going to do with TNT?
Yeah, that's a good question, but he seems
They
to
won't
like
have.
where he's at.
They won't have basketball. So
Yeah.
what the hell is he going to do?
I think that's the problem, is that these guys, it's going to be very difficult for to recreate what they had at TNT, because I don't think these guys want to leave the network. And so I'm not sure exactly what happens to it, but that was the reporting that I read, was that I don't think that these guys are not just going to pick up and move to a new location, is the idea.
Well, they can do the studio in Atlanta.
Yes.
They can build them a damn studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say move to a new location, I mean a new network. Like I mean going on.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that I've seen do that are able to work for both, which is very unusual. But back during the NCAA tournament, you would see some ESPN guys work on CBS. They would borrow them, quote unquote. So we'll see. Indiana still 2 spots to fill on the roster. I talked earlier about the kid from North Harrison High School, Langdon Hatton, the Mad Hatter. But also this week, we saw that UT Martin's Isa Muhammad, a 6'9" forward, also interest from Indiana. I think that they're guard rich now, so they don't necessarily need anything else other than someone like Hatton and even Muhammad. They both only have a year of eligibility, so you're not locking anything up for long term. And now you have added depth and as with some bigs. You've got a guy that will back up. Actually, Muhammad would be probably a backup for oh my gosh, too many names are flying around here.
Malik Renew, probably.
Malik Renew, who is going to get into foul trouble and need to come out. So they will need him. And then you've got Langdon Hatton to relieve
Umar
Ballo. The question is, and I saw it posted earlier, where did I go back to it? Ryan asking, gut feeling, does Mike Woodson like TG Trey Galloway starting because the trust he has, or does he value that trust leading his preferred second unit, as we've previously seen? That's a question. There's multiple questions. I'll go backwards. I'll start at the end. With all of this depth, are we going to see the return of the platoon substitution pattern from Mike Woodson? Personally, I think that's a mistake. I just don't think you can do that. Nobody in the college game does that. And there's a reason for that. Unless you literally have 2 starting lineups that are that good. That's not the case here. So you can't be sending Langdon Hatton and Issa Muhammad and whomever else in at one time and have no stars out there. Yeah. And we saw, without him admitting it or acknowledging it, that he went from, well, that's how I've always substituted. That's how I've always done it. That's not going to change. To it changing with no acknowledgement, but we knew what happened. So it's going to be interesting to see if that returns to Indiana. I think Indiana fans would sure like to not see that, as they should, because that does not work. But what's up next for you, brother?
I am in the midst of covering the NAIA baseball tournament right now. Indiana Tech and St. Francis, our 2 local schools, are in the postseason tournament, and they face elimination games today, so that's exciting. And then Trine softball, the defending national championship in Division III, is getting their kind of trying to defend their title this season as well. So they're getting their playoffs started here pretty soon. So I'll have all that going on, plus the Tin Caps, as well as always. And all of the transfer coverage going on as that continues to kind of roll through here. So it's a busy time of the year, as always, and looking forward to being on with you next week.
Looking forward to it, my brother. How's married life going?
Dude, it's very, very well. Very well. We're in the midst of
What
planning our
else were you
honeymoon.
gonna say? Of course it is.
That's right. Well, we're in the midst of planning our honeymoon right now, which is a lot of fun too. So we're doing that. It's a lot of fun.
Where are we going?
We're going to Scotland in July.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Wow, great pick.
Yeah. We're pretty excited.
I would have preferred Ireland myself.
Yeah.
Those bloody Scots.
Yeah.
I'm 75% Irish, but we've got Chris Lewis that's over in England, jolly old England, not far away. I forget where. See where he said where he was from earlier, or where he is now. He moved from New Albany, actually. I made that comment earlier, just kind of off the cuff, but anyway, he's over in England. Maybe you can go visit him.
There you go. That'll be a trip we have to take.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dylan Sinn from the Four-Way Journal Gazette. Appreciate you, my friend.
Absolutely. Glad to be on, Jim. This is fun.
Absolutely. Appreciate you. Hey, we've got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Freethink Apparel Promotions. Whether you need 24 T-shirts for the upcoming family reunion or 200 for this season's recreational baseball or softball leagues, Freethink Apparel meets your printing needs. Their team of industry experts work with you to design a professional-looking, sales-generating web store of your own for your custom-designed apparel and promotional merchandise. From large corporations to small businesses, high school sports teams to national accounts, Freethink Apparel delivers no matter where you are. Visit freethinkapparel.com today and get printing. All you local businesses owners and whatnot, that if you have uniforms for your company, whatnot, boom, Freethink Apparel. And again, support those who support us. We're able to bring this content to you each and every day. We're back with more right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market. Dang it.
Kyle said he'll be on just a moment.
I don't care what Kyle said. I'm just kidding. Man, I think I'm going to get to 00 jersey.
There you go.
0. One's Halliburton is 0 and Matherin is 00.
All about the zeros.
All
All right, here
about
we go.
the zeros.
Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Rebesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details. This segment is brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back, Indiana Sports Speed Radio on this Wednesday. Hump Day. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star joining us now as he sports that Detroit Tigers. I have not checked the American League standings lately. How's Detroit?
No.
I see you shaking your head already. It was just like,
No.
He was like, stop talking. Hey, at least you could be worse. You could be like Rick Bozich. He's a White Sox fan.
Well, the way it's going,
they absolutely suck.
the way it's going, they may pass. The Tigers are down to 500 now. They were, 5-6 games over 500, and then now they're back. They're losing to the Marlins 1-0 in games like last night. So it's sinking fast.
Well, that's how it goes. I'm a Reds fan, so I think that they're in just the middle, not doing much. I've got to get it pulled up here. I'm just curious. I haven't looked at it this year. Standings. I mean, I have looked at it this year, but the Yankees leading over in the East. Cleveland, Guardians. I can't say that. That's just. How can you imagine if they had to make that movie? What was the movie that was
Major League?
Major League. If they had to make the Major League, and it was the Guardians. What would they be doing in the outfield?
Yeah, I don't know. I still struggle with that too. I always say Cleveland Indians on first, and then I'm like, oh yeah, Guardians. Yeah, it's going to take a while.
But yeah, because there are so many. And I get it if it is a slight or whatever, but they're not really there is not really Indians, because that was just a misnamed group. That was a wrong name that was used. So that should be free to use. They're Native Americans. They're not Indians. Indians is because he thought he was in India.
Yeah, I guess it's the connotation that, over the years that whatever. I mean, I know the Indianapolis Indians that they've had,
not changing.
Native American tribes have said, hey, we like, so I think they're going to stay with that. So I don't know.
They are. And they've had, that franchise has been around a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of, I'd like to get down to some game. Unfortunately, Skeens is gone already. So I missed out on a chance to see him pitch. I would have liked to have done that, but he's already up with the Pirates. It's been fun over the years. When my kids were younger, we went to a lot of games, watched, Josh Bell and McCutcheon and Polanco, guys like that come through. The Pirates are kind of hit and miss with prospects sometimes, but there's been some good players over the years.
Yeah, if you had the opportunity to go to Victory Field there in Indianapolis, home of the Indianapolis Indians AAA baseball team, and if you walk around the corridor of where the suites are, they have all of these plaques of all these different guys that have played there, and it's pretty amazing. Who was the most expensive? Honus Wagner. There's somebody of that ilk that was like old and famous. And I daggone if I can remember who it was, but
Randy Johnson, I know Randy Johnson's one of their all-time, if you walk around, there's a lot of, players obviously who played there over the years, and
Randy Johnson's daughter went to IU?
No, I didn't.
Yes, she used to work at Yogi's. You
Is that
go in
right?
there, and there's this 6'4" girl walking around. And it's Randy Johnson's daughter. No kidding.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, they were the Expos, of course, for quite a long time, and the Reds, and the Reds I think was in the 70s, so they had a lot of players come through there with the Big Red Machine era, and then the Expos, and they went back to the Reds, and then I think it's probably been the Pirates for 20 years, maybe something like that. So, but yeah, it does have a long history. The old stadium, I don't know if you've been by there either, or probably been to it at some point, but it was sort of torn down, but then they turned it into like an apartment
or something there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's
How cool is that?
It's a neat deal. They kind of kept up the brick part on the the scoreboard area, and then the where the press box area was there when you come in the building. So I don't that was closed probably in like 96 where they played there. I think Victory Field, the current one, opened in 96. So, but Busch Stadium's still there, partly anyway.
Where was that?
That's about I used to drive by it I still do when I do go to the office, but it's on kind of if you're coming from the Speedway there on 16th coming into town. It's kind of before you get to Indiana Avenue there. So, somewhere in that, I think is that still 16th there? But yeah, it's super cool. Obviously, 8 Men Out was filmed there, back in the 80s. And,
no kidding. I didn't know that.
Yeah. If you look at and I'm just weird, history guy like that, but
I love that stuff.
Yeah. But that was where that was filmed. And, it's a neat place. It's probably haven't read much about it here in a long time, but I think it was, what was that, 80 in the 80s, 86, 87, somewhere in there when that was filmed. And it was still, they were still using it as the minor league stadium at that time. So yeah, it's West 16th as I look here. Yeah, West 16th is where Avenue, where you get there coming from the west.
All right, I'm going to nominate Indiana for being the owner of the locations of the greatest sporting movies of all time, and when you put it in combination. So 8 Men Out was filmed in Indianapolis. The League of Their Own was filmed out in Southwest Indiana, Evansville, Newburgh, Huntingburg, around there. Hoosiers was filmed all over Indiana. Rudy was filmed in Indiana. So there's 4 of the greatest sporting movies of all time right there, all filmed in the state of Indiana. That's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other ones are.
Well, there's probably more that I'm not thinking of.
Yeah, there are probably more. And I can't think off the top of my head. Exactly what, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's not something you'd think about either necessarily, but yeah, that is neat. And obviously there's a lot of history and a lot of different sports here. Certainly basketball gets the bulk of the attention, but obviously Notre Dame and football and that story, and then baseball, of course, with 8 Men Out. So yeah, pretty neat stuff.
Yeah, I'd say 8 Men Out's a great movie about the Reds getting swindled a little bit, but they won it legitimately.
Yeah, just such a weird, story. I mean, I think I've read books about it too, or a book about it. And
did Shoeless Joe cheat?
Yeah, I mean, obviously something happened, and I think he agreed to something.
He hit 300. He played. He had like no errors. He did nothing abnormal with his game.
Yeah, I mean, as I remember it, I think he agreed to it, and then was sort of like, well, we're not seeing the payoff here, and basically just played like he normally would, So, but yeah, I mean, super interesting, And then I know he, somebody wrote an article about him years later, and he was, I think he owned a gas station or something down there in the South, and he'd been playing barnstorming games and whatnot. And, that's just that. I mean, talk about wanting to be a fly on the wall. I'd love to go back and, see that for myself. That's just such a different time, an interesting time. That's always interesting stuff to me.
I forgot. Blue Chips and that bicycle movie. As I'm kidding, of course, Breaking Away. But seriously, now you add Blue Chips and Breaking Away. That's 6 stinking great movies.
Yeah,
I love Blue Chips. I watched it recently, and I'm like going, damn it, that was a good movie.
Yeah, that was. I actually wrote about that not too long ago because they had the reunion, whatever year. What's it been? 25, 30 years probably. Is there? They had a reunion there. Showed the movie and had some people back who were in the movie, that sort of thing. And what a cool, I always try to get up to Case Arena, at least once a year or once every other year or something. So, but yeah, great movie. Great gym too.
And you would know about that, man. The great gyms around in and around this state. That was that daggone Frankfurt gym. It's pretty awesome. Those hot doggers. Pete, my man Pete is a hot dogger. I've been to a lot of AAU action on the weekends, 3SSB, mostly Indiana Elite. Getting to see those guys play specifically. Malachi Moreno is from Kentucky, obviously, but he is playing on that squad with Trent Sisley from Heritage Hills and Braylon Mullins from Greenfield Central. There's other guys on there. Desmond Briscoe, he's going to be a talented big man. He's thick, man. He is 6'8" or whatever, and he's got some moves. He can shoot the three. I've seen him. It's not a big part of his game, but I saw him hit more than one in AAU play. And you've got guys like we've talked about, daggone it, who's the guard? It's actually a defensive back.
Mark Zachary.
Yeah, Mark Zachary. I'm telling you, he could play college basketball if he wanted to, I believe. I really do. He's getting better and better. And when he is on the floor for Elite, you can tell it's a difference maker.
Yeah, I wouldn't count out him potentially playing in college. Not that he's not going to play football, but maybe he's somebody who could pull off a double, where you get him for at least part of the season. And I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. But yeah, you mentioned Desmond Briscoe. I've covered him a lot over the years. He always is a guy who seems to rise up and play his best against the best competition. So I think that bodes well for him. And he just got offered by West Virginia, actually, probably 2 weeks ago. So West Virginia is in the mix now. It's hard to believe he's already going to be a senior, but he's been playing there, playing at Attucks at a pretty good high level for a while. And, I think he's a guy that definitely is going to have some opportunities out there. The biggest thing with him is just consistency, and that's maybe for big guys comes along a little bit later, but just playing consistently, even against those, and sometimes against he's not a stat padder for sure. Sometimes against the lesser teams, he doesn't, play his best always. And I think that, we'll kind of see what happens with that his senior year and going into his senior year. But I think good for him to play this type of competition. And, I think he's, when you mention his name, he's a guy I really enjoy watching, especially those bigger games, because that seems to bring in the best out in him.
Absolutely. And seeing these guys play over the summer, they have gotten a lot better. As a matter of fact, Indiana Elite is undefeated at 15-0 on 3SSB tour. Now they head to Texas this weekend, Kyle, to play they're going to face a stern test down in Bryan, Texas. They'll have 5 games over 3 days. And as a matter of fact, they only played 2 games this past weekend in Indianapolis just so they could rest and get ready for what's coming, because they have been going pretty hard. But that is going to be a stern test. But to be 15-0, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you see that a lot with Indiana teams kind of, and not to say this team, this team very talented, obviously, but I think a lot of times you see Indiana teams kind of, play over their, play above maybe what you think they would be. And I think that team's got a lot of players who just kind of fit well with each other. They've got good size, obviously. And then you kind of add with Mullins and Zachary and Sicily and, just some really good pieces that aren't the same position. So, it's a really good group. I would expect them to have another good weekend. Obviously, tough competition, but yeah, a chance to get out and play some really good players. And that's what this team's done. They played well all spring, and that's not surprising to me.
And they're heading towards the end of the road, which will land in Rock Hill, South Carolina, for the 3SSB championship. They have a hell of a shot at winning that.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. I mean, who knows, what could happen, in a specific tournament or whatever, or specific game, but yeah, I mean, you add Zachary to that team. I think that's just a nice missing piece that, you can just slide him in and know what you're going to get, and that's a really good defensive player and a guy who can handle the ball and make shots. I mean, honestly, that's what he did last on that state championship team. He was more of a, believe it or not, he was kind of a, hey, you stand over there and make shots and then defend really well. And now he's more of a point guard, which probably fits him a little bit better with this style of play. But he's a guy who just does whatever, football too. I mean, put him at receiver. Like, okay, now he's going to, make huge plays on offense. Obviously everybody knows what his real, he's a defensive back. He's a cornerback, long cornerback who, is going to, have a really good college career at that position. But, you kind of slide him into all these different roles and he just doesn't skip a beat. And he's also the editor of his sports page at the high school. So you got to like that too.
No kidding. Mark Zachary is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I've got to get him on, man. That's great. So he's got a career already that he's looking at. But that team is put together so well because you talk about Mark Zachary, what a great point guard that he is. Then off on the shooting guard, you've got Braylon Mullins, who is just starting to light it up. Then on the wing, you've got Trent Sisley, who can shoot from the outside, play in the inside, rebound or step out and shoot, was the leading scorer in one of those games last week. And then, of course, Malachi Moreno. I'm sure I don't know if you've seen him play or not, but
yeah,
man, he's a talented big. That boy, he is a human shot eraser around the rim.
Boy, and he is big, man. He's a beast in there on defense, and yeah, I mean, very good player. You put him in there, that changes everything defensively. I mean, honestly, offensively too. But man, put a guy like that in the middle of your team, and that's a huge difference maker.
What's up for you next for you, sir?
I got a story coming on Damian Shanklin. I actually posted the interview with him. He's a 4-star defensive end from Warren Central who has 4 official visits lined up here in coming weeks. And I'll have a little bit more about that. Wrote about that crazy IU Southeast baseball game. If anybody wants to check that out, they were down by 9 runs in the NAIA regional tournament and won 2 outs in the 9th inning, down by 9, and they won the game. So,
IUS, the Grenadiers.
The Grenadiers. I talked to their coach yesterday morning, and man, I'd never even heard of it. Someone posted that if that was MLB, that would be the biggest comeback in history of baseball by the statistics of it. So. I don't know where it ranks on all-time college or whatever, but not any more unlikely win than that, especially in the regional. So pretty cool.
I was going to say, especially in the tournament. Oh, my God, that's incredible. Who's the baseball coach at IUS?
It's, gosh, you asked me that. I just talked to him yesterday. He just got there this past year. Hold on a second here.
That's all right. I could.
Brett Neffendorf. He just got there. He coached at a few other NAIA schools. Glendon Rush is actually their pitching coach who pitched in the MLB for a long time. So it's pretty cool. I mean, there are a lot of Indiana guys obviously on that team, and to rally like they did is just amazing. And then they ended up winning the next game against the top seed, so they're kind of sitting in a good spot going into today. They got rained out their game yesterday, but playing today. So if anybody following that,
I would imagine that team is full of kids that went to high school right in the area and even across the river in Louisville.
Yeah, they do have Kentucky kids. Obviously, they have a couple transfers. Their top pitcher I know is a Ball State transfer, and he's the one who got the shutout in the second game of that tournament. So I'll be following them along now after that story. That was just amazing. Something I'd never even.
Heck yeah, I'm gonna have to follow them too. Absolutely. Yeah. Appreciate the information. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star. Make sure you're going to the Star and reading his content. It is always top notch and gives you stuff like that, information that we didn't know. He's the greatest at digging it up. Appreciate you, my friend.
All right, take care.
You betcha. Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star joining us, brought to you by Boost Fundraising. If anybody knows of anyone needing a fundraiser, Boost Fundraising raises more money faster. It offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member, free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com. Be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. We're back with the captain, Rick Bozich, from WDRB.com after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Formerly. Hello,
Welcome,
sir.
Rick. Old Miss, what's that all about?
That's where my daughter goes.
Really?
Yeah. She is just finished her junior year.
She like it there?
Oh my God, she loves it. Are you
My
kidding me?
next door neighbor's daughter goes there.
Oh wow. How old is she?
She just finished her freshman year.
Yeah, just always pictures the football games, the baseball games. I mean, they take it all in.
Hey, real quick, Jim, try to get Rick out of here by around 10:20. He's got to go to Valhalla today. Is that right?
Yeah, I got to be on a bus at Valhalla in the media parking lot, which is on Hurstbourne Lane at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm going to make it. I missed the credential deadline.
Yeah, I don't know.
It stinks.
There's some woman named Lindsay Traeger who's in charge. And there's a lot. The media room's a lot smaller than it was the last time I was here.
I've got a friend that works for the PGA, and I'm reached out to him, so I'll see what I can get done.
Yeah, you got to park on Hurstbourne Lane at Embassy Suites and then ride a bus for like 25 minutes to half an hour to get in.
That's funny. Well, but they have zero parking.
And whatever parking they have is for the members and the players.
Yeah. I was just talking about something. Well, first of all, there's a great story for you, the IUS baseball thing.
Yeah, I heard that.
Because I guarantee you that thing is full of kids from both sides of the river.
I'm sure it is. I didn't know Glendon Rush was their pitching coach.
I didn't either. How did that happen?
Now, who was the kid who was the editor of his high school paper? Zachary?
Mark Zachary.
Where does he play?
Is he at Ben Davis? No. Oh no, he's at like Carmel or something like that. He's like an NFL prospect at cornerback.
Oh really?
Yes. I mean, he's got offers to play for Notre Dame, Ohio State, all these schools. But he is a difference maker at this level with the Indiana Elite. Man, he's on the floor, and you can tell it makes a ton of difference for them. And they've got a hell of a squad.
All right, here we go, guys.
APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to andymorehonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville and Evansville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, here on this Wednesday. Brought to you by Bubba's 33 down in Clarksville. For our Southern Indiana folks, great place, great atmosphere, great food, made fresh every day, great bar area. They got a private area. It's just a great place to go. I love it. I seriously love it. Miss being able to go there as often as I used to go. Welcome, Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. The captain has finished up Derby duties and now heading to the PGA at Valhalla. How incredible is it, Rick, that within a span of 4 weeks, the Derby, the PGA, and the Indianapolis 500 all in that within this little bitty circle? How many people will go to the PGA over?
That's a great question. I don't know what they limit the crowds to. I know there's a cap on how many, just because they don't want maintain crowd control, and it's so hard getting people in and out of there. But it is sold out. If I had to guess, I'd say the daily crowd's in the 50 to 60,000 range, but I'm not sure.
And that's a day, people. Just over 4 days, there's 200,000, and that doesn't include the stuff that goes on Wednesday, yesterday. So yeah. So you've got 3, 5, 6, almost 700,000 people will enjoy 3 sporting events right here over a span of 4 weeks. There's no place on planet Earth that can say that. Or no other
more
place
than that, really, because if you throw in, there's probably 100,000 out there on Oaks Day at Churchill Downs.
See, I didn't even think about that.
On Thursday, they had 65,000 this year for Thurby. So yeah, you're pushing 1 million altogether. You throw in time trials and all that stuff.
I was getting ready to say, I didn't even mention time trials and all the things that go on. They actually had a Grand Prix race. And so, yeah, it's the month of May is incredible. Although this will probably be the last time. Will this be the last time ever, you think, that Valhalla hosts a major like this? The PGA has sold them, for those of you why I'm asking that.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, they've announced 8 future sites for the PGA, and Louisville's not on the list. And the place that is on the list is a course in Frisco, Texas. It's got 2 of them, and that's where the PGA is moving. So I'd say it's unlikely. And then the only other major they could possibly get here would be the U.S. Open, and they've never come here with the U.S. Open. I'm sure that's very super competitive to make the U.S. Open rotation, and usually they go with more difficult courses. Valhalla is a great course, a top 100 course, but we'll see how.
It's definitely not U.S. It's not U.S. Open tough. I mean, those are
no. I mean, they would have to make some changes and obviously grow the rough out a lot more and do the things they do to make the U.S. Open tougher.
The U.S. Open is it's almost unfun sometimes because of how bad it is. I cannot remember the course, but it was just a few years ago. The green, basically, when you hit the putt, it was like a toilet drain, and you had to play that toilet drain down to the hole. It's nuts, crazy. Earlier we were talking about besides the. Here's another something for you. I didn't realize this, but you stop and think about the sports movies that have been made just in Indiana. 8 Men Out, A League of Their Own, Hoosiers, Rudy, Blue Chips, Breaking Away. That's there's no way that lineup can be matched other than maybe California, but
right.
I don't think so in California for that level of sports movies.
No, I agree. And part of that, obviously, credit needs to go to Angelo Pizzo, who lives in Bloomington, who wrote a couple of those. And yeah, no, it's a fantastic lineup, and two of my favorite sports movies of all times, and Hoosiers and Breaking Away.
They are. I mean, those are awesome. I love Blue Chips as well. I really do like it as a movie. Once I watched it again here recently. It's just so funny how true to life that movie is today. Well, not anymore, but it was just, that movie was ahead of its time, man.
Yeah, it was. In terms of coaches feeling the pressure to buy players to win, to keep their jobs, and Coach Knight was on the side of doing things the right way, correctly, right?
Yep.
And,
he was like, well, which I'm sure he shadowed Bob Knight for I don't know how long.
Nick Nolte did, yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing him at game. Hell, I had a picture with him. I lost it. I can't find it, but I had a picture with Nick Nolte right outside of the men's locker room. But he had this, hair all disheveled and had a damn overcoat on, I think. I'm like, what are you trying to, stay oblivious? I'm like, Jesus, you think you're not going to stick out in freaking Assembly Hall, dude? I don't care what you put on. But it was funny watching the movie how much he took from Bob Knight. I mean,
yeah, he did a pretty good impression.
I could see a whole bunch, especially when he kicked that ball.
Right. And that was wasn't Matt Nover sort of an unsung star in that movie?
Oh yeah, he was one of the three, man. He got his dad got the tractor.
Right.
His dad got the tractor. And then what was one other funny thing? I was just going to say, daggone it, I forgot. Gee whiz. It was one of the funniest things that in that movie. But oh well. How was the Derby for you, man?
It was good. Great storylines this year. The finish was fantastic. 3-horse photo for the first time since 1947.
That was incredible finish.
The winning trainer, Kenny McPeak, is a guy I've known for almost 20 years and been a real solid racehorse guy. And Brian Hernandez, the jockey, has been a top jockey at Churchill Downs for a long time. Never really had a great horse, gets his chance and delivers he made the difference on the horse by riding him along the rail and saving ground. When you win by nose, that horse would have been third or fourth place without that ride by Brian Hernandez. And now we have news this morning that Baffert's horse, Muth, who was not eligible for the Derby and beat the Derby winner in the Arkansas Derby a month ago.
Gonna run in the Preakness?
Muth scratched this morning. He's got a temperature, a fever. So Mystic Dan will now, Muth was the early favorite for the Preakness. And now Muth is out, so Mystic Dan will be the favorite to win the Preakness. And I'm not sure if you knew this or not, but this year the Belmont is not going to be run at Belmont because Belmont's closed for 2 years for
resurfacing or something.
They're tearing the whole grandstand down and starting over, building a new, smaller one, more modern one. So they're going to run the Belmont at Saratoga, and they're going to run it at 1.25 miles instead of 1.5 miles. So it's a whole different.
Oh, that's bull crap. Why do you change the distance? You can make whatever distance you want on a horse racing track.
Yeah, because of the size of the track, though. I think if you made it 1.5 miles, you'd have to make it around 3 turns instead of 2. So they don't want to do that. Just telling you,
man, that is a load of crap. Now if Mystic Dan ends up winning the Triple Crown, that's going to be an asterisk.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But they couldn't come up.
How do you
Belmont's
change
the only track in the country, I think, that's 1.5 miles. So there's no way around it.
That's like saying the World Series is going to be played at this softball park this year.
Well, we'll see.
People don't understand the difference between 1.5 miles and 1.25 miles. I know it's 1/4 mile, smartasses. But in horse racing, that's humongous because the horses that have the lung capacity, that have the fight, that have the drive, that can go that distance, that is a long race. and it's the race that separates how many times has a Triple Crown prospect went in to the Belmont having already won both, but they just can't finish it out.
I can name at least 5 that I covered: Sunday Silence, Silver Charm, Real Quiet, Funny Side, Smarty Jones, Big Brown was another one. I can name numerous times that I made it to Belmont thinking I was going to see a Triple Crown winner and didn't.
I can't. I cannot believe they didn't at least keep it the same damn distance. Oh my God, I'll be railing on them for that. Not that they care, but
you got a 3-week buildup because we got 3 weeks after this week. They're talking about they're talking about a radical change to the Triple Crown, which would be changing the date.
You mean stretch it out a little bit, give the horses some rest? That's what they should do. I agree with that. Although that's different from how it has been. The horse racing is different from how it has been. So I have no problem with that. As a matter of fact, I don't understand why they didn't do that a long time ago, because of all of the stress they talk about these horses being under. And then they're going to run 2 major races or 3 within 5 weeks? That's nuts.
Yeah. That's why, if they could have found any way to keep it a mile and a half, they would have, as tied to tradition and stuck in tradition as horse racing is. Believe me, I'm sure that was a painful decision for them to do this a different way. But yeah, I think Wayne Lucas has been talking about making this change for the Triple Crown for at least 30 years, and they're finally getting around to taking it seriously.
Yeah, it should happen, people. What we're talking about is the Derby runs on the first Saturday of each May, but then it's only 2 weeks later you run the Belmont, and these horses are Preakness. I'm sorry, these horses are not running races every 2 weeks. I mean, they take a few months in between starts sometimes.
Yeah, generally they take at least 4 and usually up to 6 weeks between races early in their 3-year campaign, because most people will tell you a 3-year-old horse is he's not quite fully mature yet, is what I'm saying. I mean, some are, but
I have always thought that they're a year too early anyway. The horses don't their legs don't fuse until they're 3. So I would rather see them be a year older anyway, but that's a whole nother argument. Hey, we've got to take a quick break. We've got the great Rick Bozich with us before he gets away from WDOB.com. We'll be right back. Brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
So what's your sense on Sisley? Where's he going to go?
Man, I don't know yet. I don't know what my opinion is yet. I know the things that I know, but that since I'm not in that discussion, I don't know how much that is going, and the things that I know. But Matt Painter is just simply out recruited Mike Whitson on this. I mean, it's not close. I mean, it's
right. He's down there building relationship.
Oh man. I guarantee you he's seen him in person 10 times.
Right.
And Indiana, a third of that.
What about Mullins?
I have forecasted him to Indiana on the rival site, which doesn't mean anything because it's me, but Duke and UConn are going to maybe get involved, but man, he is the kind of Indiana kid that Indiana has missed for a long time. He can shoot. He's a good shooting guard. He can get to the rim. He's definitely one that they almost have to land for various reasons.
PR reasons.
Yes. You lose him, and losing Sisley would be big as well because he's a Southern Indiana kid, and there's actually
his sister and brother at IU, right?
Yep. And there's no excuse for it, to be honest with you, because there's no excuse to be out recruited that badly. And they have been out recruited that badly. The difference is gigantic. And I also think that the fact that it's been Matt Painter that's seen him 10 times, not Matt Painter's assistant.
Right.
It's been Matt Painter. So I know that there's a better relationship there. I don't know that always, is the deciding factor because of some of the other things you mentioned. And it would be much harder for his parents to get up to see his games. Up there.
Here we go, guys. Whenever you let Rick go, Jim, you don't need to break again. You'll just continue with the final few minutes. So here we go.
Cool Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by the Ugly Grouper. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday. Glad to have you. Glad that you're with us. Rick Bozich, the captain from WDRB.com, along as well. Brought to you by the Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Maria Island, Florida. If you're already in the area or will be, the Ugly Grouper has much more than just unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers, cocktails, along with live music every day, is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. Located on Anna Maria Island, Florida, the Ugly Grouper is the place to be. Tell them we sent you. Just go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. Rick Bozich with us, as I said. Rick, how important is it, or is it now important in the transfer era, that Mike Woodson lands a good recruiting class with the talent that is coming out in this 2025 recruiting class in Indiana? In the break, we were talking about Braylon Mullins and Trent Sisley. There's Malachi Moreno from across the river in Kentucky, which obviously that's going to be tougher, but he plays for Indiana Elite with these guys. If it would be rare, but if they could swing the coup and land Sisley and Mullins and Moreno, that's a trifecta. And then you talk about Jalen Harrelson, who's also in that class. That's right. A grand slam home run. Each one of them playing a different position, but we're in a different era where recruiting classes are kind of being pushed down a little bit, but this is a different situation. These are all great players. Half of them are going to be 4-year players, probably.
Yeah. I think it's very important. On a 1 to 10 scale, I'd say it's an 8 or a 9 to get at least, it's a 10, you got to get at least 1. I'd say it's an 8 or a 9 to get 2. And then anything beyond that, on a 1 to 10 scale is probably a 3 or 5. It's hard to get them all. Especially Sisley and Mullins, 2 kids that grew up within an hour of Bloomington. Sisley has a brother and sister that either are or have been students there over the last year.
They are, still are.
Yeah. Okay. Harrelson actually, although he's up in LaPorte now, he is from Indianapolis. So that's 3 kids with an hour radius. Moreno, I think, is going to be tougher. As much as I know he has a connection, has visited IU. He's from Georgetown, Kentucky, which is, a bicycle ride to Lexington. So that's going to be tough now that Pope's there. But, you got to get those guys.
So is it tougher now that the Pope's there than when, what's his name?
Calipari? Yeah, I'd say probably so, because I wasn't sure. Calipari really didn't recruit him that much. I would say Pope has probably already been on him pretty hard. And I know that Louisville is trying to get involved with Moreno now too, as they're trying to get involved with Sisley. So it's going to be competition with all those schools. But as we've talked about before, I go back to one of the many things that led to the departure of Tom Crean at Indiana was the one high school class that had Malik Williams of Fort Wayne, and he went to Louisville. Paul Scruggs of Indianapolis. He went to Xavier.
UCLA.
What was the kid? Chris Wilkes. Was he the kid from Indianapolis who went to UCLA?
Yeah.
And then you had the other kid from Indianapolis, Johnson. What was the kid? He's in the Jackson, Jalen Jackson, Jaron Jackson. He went to Michigan State. Now he's on the Memphis Grizzlies. So there were 4 guys in that class, and Indiana didn't get any of them. And I think that was a class.
And you lost Kyle Guy.
Indiana was getting, Devontae Green and Al Durham and Cliff Moore and, decent players, but Justin Smith. But, people want in-state Indiana kids. Why didn't they come to Indiana? It doesn't matter afterwards how good they really were. It's like, how come we can't get those guys? And so, especially when you measure it against Purdue, which is winning with in-state guys, you got to get dudes.
Mark Zachary does go to Ben Davis. I was right. So, all right. Indiana fans are jacked, as they should be. They've got a great roster right now. Indiana killed it in the portal. But is that something that they're going to have to do every year? And the answer to that is yes, if they don't do what we're talking about. You've got to have, I think you have to have a mix. You've got to have the recruits like that we're talking about right now. These are all good players. And like I said, half of them are going to be around for 3 to 4 years unless they leave to go elsewhere. Jalen Harrelson, he's probably, not a one and done at all by any stretch of the imagination, but he's probably an NBA prospect for certain. He's a 6'7" point guard. So that's about all you have to say about that. Of course, Malachi Moreno, that dude, he's got skills. He's 7 plus he's 7 foot. So that's all you have to say about that. But yeah, landing, I agree. I think you have to land those guys. Otherwise, you're going to spend each year just portal diving, and
you're going to spend the next few years, spend a lot of money is what you're going to spend, because you got a
crap ton of money
in the portal.
Overpaying money, and people are going to get tired of that unless you're winning, unless you're doing what Danny Hurley is doing, and which is amazing. He goes and refills from the portal, but he wins big time the national championship. The fact that he was able to.
He has a share of guys that he recruited and developed too. I mean, Klingon was a development. Caravan and Klingon were both high school recruits. So was Stephen Castle. On the championship team, 2 or 3 of those guys were developed guys.
Yeah, I didn't mean to suggest that he didn't, but the fact that he lost 75% of his offense, 3 guys to the NBA off of the first title team,
right,
and can come back,
right,
fill those holes, and win it again. That's utterly amazing to me.
You're right. Man, Hurley's one of a kind. There's only one Hurley right now at this point. So, and add into it the one thing, and then I've got to get going. Woody hasn't done a good job of getting high school players the last 2 years. He's gotten guys every year who've decommitted or around in the spring, but last year they whiffed on all that. They had 3. Was it Boogie Fland and they had McNeely, and then they lost him, and then they had Derek Queen, and that's when they spent all their effort and all their attention on those guys and didn't get any of them, and that's not a good look.
Well, you've got to put the work in on them and give them the attention, and I don't think that has happened. I don't know if he has gotten used to the way of doing business via the portal and just holding up a check to somebody, because that's not recruiting. You're not going to land these young guys from Indiana like that. You may get a couple, but it's just not going to work. Rick's got to go. He's got to head out to Valhalla Golf Club, home of this year's PGA.
I really do have a bus to catch. How's that?
Enjoy it, brother. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Make sure you're catching all of his content there at WDRB.com. He covers everything. He'll be covering the PGA this week, which is awesome. This is nothing to do with me, but this is just an opportunity for anybody that collects jerseys or likes to buy jerseys. I'm not one of those. I'll get them for like the studio and whatnot, but Here are some. I gotta turn my right. All right, those are Pacer jerseys. Can you see that, John? Can you read all those? Who they are?
Yeah, we've
Nimhard,
got
Toppin.
Yeah, it's not the most clear, but yeah, you got. I believe most of these are from last year's roster. Not most, but some of them are names who are no longer on the current Pacers roster.
I don't know why that's not. There's T.J. McConnell.
There we go.
There's
Now
Buddy
it's
Hield, Smith, McConnell, Walker, Brown Jr., Nimhard, Toppin, Shepard. Those are all autographed jerseys. And let's see. They're unbelievable cheap. Jalen Smith is only $75. TJ McConnell's 125, Obi 125, Bruce Brown 75, Buddy Hield 75, Jarris Walker 75. The Nimhard one is 75, and Ben Shepard 100. Why he's more, I don't know. But so those are the autographed jerseys. If you'd like, if you're interested, just send me a message. There are also non-autographed ones, I believe, and that would be these right here. See, there's 3 Halliburton jerseys, but I'm going to take the yellow one, and I'm going to take the Matherin jersey below that. So you still have there's Warren, Batazde, Turner, Nimhard, Duarte, Smith, Brown Jr., Hield, and another Halliburton jersey. Those are all like $50. That's a bargain. I don't buy jerseys, but it's a good buy. These are, NBA jerseys. You see that? I've got that one on the wall right there. That's where this came from. I don't know if I'm going to replace it, but I'm going to freshen it up with Halliburton, someone who's actually on the team. Let's see. We're on Wednesday. How about that IUS baseball team? Indiana University Southeast down in New Albany, NAIA. That's wild. Got to get that coach on, man. And I never thought about all of those sports movies that have been made in the state of Indiana. 8 Men Out. I did not know that. League of Their Own, I did. Hoosiers and Rudy, of course, I did. Blue Chips, I did, of course. And Breaking Away, obviously. Breaking Away here in Bloomington, Blue Chips. I don't know where all that was filmed, but the gym of the home of the Dolphins was the Frankfurters, the hot dogs, Frankfurt hot dogs, where old Pete went to. Rudy, of course, Notre Dame, Hoosiers, all over the state, but specifically there at Knightstown. A League of Their Own down in Evansville at Bossy Field? And the field they actually built. They built a baseball stadium over in, I think it's Huntingburg. That's there, that is now used by the local team. And I've never seen it. I'd like to see that. Oh, Doug Gottlieb named the new head coach at Green Bay. That's a shock to me, like it was to everybody else. That's weird. It's kind of funny though. We replaced Doug Gottlieb on the air in Fort Wayne. So there's that. Maybe if he takes that job and stops doing his show, then we'll get the other hour in Fort Wayne.
He is actually reportedly, and this may change, but as of right now, he's expecting to do both his show and coach Green Bay.
That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard.
Yeah, I agree.
To me, that's almost a recruiting violation. I mean, think about that platform a head coach you have as a head coach with a national show.
Yeah, I don't foresee him being allowed to do it. He may say he's going to do it for now, but it wouldn't surprise me if in the near future we find out that there's some illegalities that will prevent him from continuing to do his radio show. But we'll see.
Russell, I'm not sure what he's talking about. Said he was talking about something earlier that I missed on, so I'll have to skip that one. Chris says you haven't got the old IndyCar movies from way back, about 3 or 4, but were there any really good ones? I mean, these are all good movies, box office movies. But yeah, that's another great point. All these sporting movies, and yet the greatest sporting spectacular
1 minute
spectacle is right there in Indianapolis at Speedway, coming up here soon as well, the Indianapolis 500. Hey man, big thanks to Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal Gazette, Kyle Neddenriep from the Indy Star, Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Most importantly, thanks to each and every one of you and John, the producer, for keeping us between the white lines. Tomorrow, Shannon Griffith joins us. We'll get you caught up on what's going on in the world of football. It's kind of quiet right now, but this weekend, Rivals has their Combine Camp Series, the final stop. It only went to like 8 places in the country. Their final stop is in Indianapolis this weekend at Decatur High School. Starts in the morning. General admission is free if you want to go out and see the elite players of the elite going through
got to wrap.
Whatever. I was confused by looking at a comment. I'm not sure what that meant, but I think I like that. We got to wrap it up. Got to get out of here. Thanks to everybody. Looking forward to doing it again tomorrow. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.